Hi guys, since everyone's asking me to do a little video of my cooking, I decided to make Methi Dal today, and I'll show you what it looks like. Wait, where's the camera? The camera's on this side. Alright. Okay, I'm going to start with fresh cut methi, and here I have tomatoes chopped fine, and onions chopped fine, some curry leaves, and ginger, garlic, and green chili paste. These are the spices I'm going to use. So I'm going to start with putting mustard and jeera in a pan with some oil. Then I put the curry leaves, and I'm going to saute them really well, and I use it in medium heat so they don't burn. Then I'm going to add the paste of onion, ginger, and green chili, and I'm also going to cook that for a while till the raw taste goes out, again on medium heat, so that they don't burn. So once they're cooking well, then I'm going to add the onions to it, and I'm going to saute the onions for a while with some salt, so that the moisture comes out of the onions, stirring them while I'm doing this. And again, when I'm cooking the onions, I will get the heat up, and I also add a little bit of hing there to get that nice taste. Here I'm sauteing onions till they change color, and slightly higher heat, maybe slightly golden brown. And then when the onions get to the right place, I'm going to go ahead and add some the chopped tomatoes to this one. And now I put the tomatoes in. I turn the heat a little bit to medium, and I like to cover when I cook the tomatoes. Here I'm using the Calphalon system, where you can see the lid goes in nicely on top. I'm going to leave it in there, put it on medium heat, and let it cook for a while. Let it simmer till all the water comes out of the onions and the tomatoes. Meanwhile, I had made some tur dal here in a pressure cooker. I'm going to mash that so that it looks a nice pulp consistency. Here is 1 cup of it that I made. Looking back at the onions and tomatoes cooking well, I'm going to check on them to see how they are. They're still not where I like them. So I'm going to cook for a little longer, maybe 2 to 3, 4 minutes. Typically, I like the tomatoes to get completely mashed up and the onions to look like translucent in my dal. So I added a little water to it so that they cook even better. Keep stirring just so that nothing burns. And once it gets to a nice consistency here, then I'm going to take care of, and I'm going to start adding the methi and dal to it later on. So here it's looking good now. I like the way the onions are looking, and I also like the way the tomatoes are cooked nicely. Now I add the methi leaves, and when I add the methi leaves, I work hard to mix it totally from top to bottom, so that the onion tomato paste and the methi leaves are all mixed up nicely. It's important to do that so that they don't cook non-uniformly. So I stir it up and mix it all together, and then again I'm going to do the same thing I did before, which is I'm going to try and close it and cook it under medium heat for a while till all the spices that I put in go into the methi leaves, and the leaves have that nice taste of the spices and onions and ginger, garlic, and tomatoes. So I close it and I put it on medium heat, and I'm going to leave it on the stove for a while. Now after a few minutes, it looks like it's cooked well, but I think it needs to cook a little bit more, so I'm going to add just a little bit of oil. Here I'm using olive oil in my cooking. It's just a healthier alternative than some of the other oils. And then I'm going to let it simmer for a while. Giving it a little bit of stir to make sure all the spices are still getting absorbed into the leaves. I'm still not quite satisfied the way it looks, so I'm going to cover it up and leave it and let it cook for some more time. Okay, after another 5 minutes or so of that, it's beginning to look better now. So what I'm going to do now is to mix it all up, and still looks a little dry to me, so I'm going to add a little bit more water now. Maybe like half a cup or so. Let it boil in the water. So note that all this time I'm cooking on either low or medium heat, nothing very high. So it's going to take a little while, but I just found that it's better not to rush this stuff. Your friend is to leave that knob on the cooktop in the medium to low range. So we let it cook for some more time here. Now I added the dal, the tur dal paste. The mashed tur dal. I didn't add the whole cup of it. I added maybe like 2/3 to maybe a little less than 3/4 cup, because I'd like the dal not to look just too much of dal, but I'd like to see the greens and reds and so on. So now I'm going to give it a good mix here and let the dal absorb all those spices. Just a touch of oil again at this stage so the spices don't burn. Again, still the cooking is on low and medium. Stir it up one more time. So let's try and close it up again and cook for some more time on low heat. So let it cook for 5 minutes more. Then I'm going to come and take a little taste. Let's see how it is. Yum, perfect. Spices are very good, except I think the salt may be a little less. So add a little bit more salt to it. And then plate it up. Before I actually plate this out, what I'm going to do is one more thing. I'm going to try a little bit more, see how it looks. Yeah, I think that's perfect. The salt is right. So I'm going to add some methi powder to it. This is actually methi powder with the dried methi and ground methi seeds dried with a little bit of chili powder in it. I add it to the end of the salt to give it a little bit more punch and also enhance the flavor of the methi leaves that we already put in. So I'm going to mix that in and just let it totally absorb into the dal. Then I'm going to turn it off. I think dal is pretty much done, and we can now get ready to plate this dal and put it in this nice bowl, and it's all cooked and ready. There's many ways to enjoy this dal. You can eat it with rice, touch of ghee, and some potato chips, which is my favorite way to eat it. Or you can eat it with roti, and you can eat it with chapatis. I hope you enjoyed that. That's Methi Dal by Raj.